Hello all, it's Paladin Parent here, and today we're doing a plus 13 Algeth'ar Academy.
Welcome to Algeth'ar Academy. I am delighted that you received our invitation. The school is a
So I always
touch
get the
behind
burst buff,
schedule.
the extra damage and
Valued
healing.
students. How wonderful. It has been quite some time since the academy has been open.
Well, it seems like indeed. Come with us. It should only take a moment to set up for a new lesson.
These lashers must have grown wild.
In
while
full
we were
disclaimer,
away.
what you're about to witness, I
Please, if
suffered
you
with some
could, clear them
aggro
out
from
while we
children
realign
and
the life magics of this place.
was not quite paying attention when I should have.
Only the strongest.
The reason I'm waiting, I
survive.
was hoping to be brezzed, but it never came, so I quickly reset. Credit to this pug group, they kept alive the entire time while I was away and pretty much defeated most of the ads, so solid effort on their part.
Perfect. We are just about... Wait! Ichistras, there is too much life magic. What are you doing?
Me? There is too much nature. What are you doing?
What is that thing? This is your fault.
I really enjoy this boss. Really simple mechanics as long as everyone stacks. Nothing really too difficult to deal with as a healer. I always cast Avenging Crusader from the get-go. It allows you just to do that little extra damage at the start. Always make sure
Watch
though
your
to
step.
use your spenders. For this build I typically use Shield of the Righteous, but obviously Word of Glory when you need to. And the Light of Dawn if your build is more designed around that.
Big ad.
Now it's really important when the Ancient is down that everyone sits inside this green circle to get rid of the dot.
Watch your step.
Make sure to
AoE
dodge all these
incoming.
swirls. And then kill the ads as quickly as possible. Rinse and repeat.
Watch your step. Big ad.
I haven't really found it particularly difficult to deal with the dot as it ticks over. Even just DPSing and healing that way is usually pretty easy. But if you ever have concerns, just ensure that everyone's targeting the
Watch your step.
Ancient and kill it as soon as possible.
AoE incoming.
Apologies as well if I sound a little off. My youngest one has given us all a cold, and yes, not feeling too fresh. Now for this next ad, please make sure to go and hide behind a pillar or use a cooldown so you don't get blown off the edge or just die. This seems to be a reoccurring event, especially with some DPS. across this entire season, so help a healer out.
Look at this Lishrath arena! Oh, wait, what are these birds doing here?
It's too far away.
And I'm sure you'll all notice that I do use a mix of clicking and keybinds. It's just how I find it easier to play. Now these birds are pretty easy to deal with. The only concerning section is really when there's two alphas and they do the AoE attack pretty close together, so if you don't get on top of that pretty quickly, you may lose the player.
We need to clear out the big one. I will activate the goals for Lishrath. That is talent toss for you soft skins. Use them to get her attention.
Now, not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of this boss. The sheer damage output you can do is insane, and it gets quite frustrating.
Stop casting spread. Frontal.
Now you'll notice that I'm holding off using Avenging Crusader. This was probably a mistake. I could have probably used it earlier on, but I was managing to deal with the AoE tick without having to resort to it.
Stop casting spread.
Now, the AoE itself isn't that bad, it's
Frontal.
the constant tick that keeps going afterwards, and that's why I decided to pop Avenging Crusader. I just love visually how it looks, but also just being able to DPS and know that my team are being healed. It's great.
I need to get close.
This section can get really rough very quickly, especially if you get players standing in the circles and everything else. Be prepared to pop your cooldowns to keep people alive. feel as a Holy Paladin,
Stop casting
being able to contribute
spread.
to the DPS, especially in these sort of burn phases, is really important. And I think this
Frontal.
is where we excel. Never be afraid to spam Holy Light to keep your team alive. You can
Stop
always replace your
casting
mana,
spread.
but you know, losing seconds off your timer at the end can be the
Frontal.
difference between timing and not timing. So I'd rather keep the players alive if I can. Well, we have a minute. Please, if you enjoy this channel, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for the support. Now, an important thing to note, always check where the Vicious Ravager is facing. I have a horrible habit of standing in front of its frontal. So you can see here the impact of standing in front of the Ravager's breath. I could not keep Priest up. I've been with groups where they pull this entire section and it becomes a bit of a nightmare for healing, especially with the Ravagers jumping around and then doing their frontals. I quite like what the tank did by separating them out into different little groups. Personal preference for healing. Also, on a little bit of a side note, please don't sit on your cooldowns, especially Avenging Wrath and Avenging Crusader. Use them as much as you can. There is no point sitting on any resources.
It's too far away.
Now, something I know that I am guilty of is not using my interrupts enough, so Hammer of Justice and Blinding Light. Please try and use them as much as you can. So you'll notice here that I started to struggle, so I started utilising Holy Light and casting my spells. Even as a DPS type healer, never be afraid to just go all out healing.
Excuse the mess. It has been quite some time.
Now, pretty
since
much all
students have
tanks
been
that
here.
I've
Just
gone
a
with
moment.
on this key have always collected every single group of ads. There are so many kicks that need to go off. Hopefully you've got a group form that has a good selection of kicks, especially AoE kicks. Otherwise the damage output can be quite painful. We handled this pretty nicely.
Here we are. Long ago, members of the Blue Dragon Flight accidentally overloaded an arcane elemental and created
Now,
a
back in the day,
powerful
this boss used to
construct
be
named
quite
Maximus
painful for
that had
healers.
quickly
It's
started
been
to
considerably
wreak
nerfed.
havoc.
The main thing is to drop your
Catch
puddles out
balls.
of the main area.
Battled Maximus fiercely,
And when doing
attempting to
picking them,
prevent
make sure you just keep them and don't stand there, because that way you'll get hit by an extra tick of
further
the
out of
puddle.
control.
Spread soon.
Began manifesting powerful arcane bombs
Catch
in order to
balls.
drive back the dragons.
Spread soon.
Now, I make a nice mistake here. Instead of running out, I stand still like a numpty and then stand in the puddle for
AoE
longer.
incoming.
But don't be me. Be better.
Maximus unleashed its full arcane
Catch balls.
against them.
Spread soon. Catch balls.
I always find if you have a good group, the healer doesn't have to take all. It makes it so much easier that I don't have to
Spread
focus on
soon.
myself and focus on what I'm healing them. Well, this is a good example of just keeping moving
AoE
when
incoming.
hitting those puddles. I didn't take much damage at all, which meant that when this
Catch
section came,
balls.
we were all pretty much healed up and it wasn't painful whatsoever.
Spread soon. Catch balls. Spread soon.
So this was unfortunate timing. The
AoE
shaman and the
incoming.
priest both go down quite low, and then the AoE kicks and kills both of them. So that was
Catch
my
balls.
fault. I should have preemptively got them. Luckily, we did have some res available, so live and learn. Not perfect.
Spread soon. Catch balls.
Though Maximus tried its best to defeat the dragons, it was ultimately destroyed. Well done!
This is where I started getting chard aggro again. Wasn't really focused on what was going on. I was listening into several arguments, which is why I stopped not really doing my rotation. And then because I wasn't paying attention, instead of mounting up, like a numpty, I just continued walking on foot. Then realising I was so far behind, decided to use my horse. Good job. Now, I'm sitting there telling my beautiful children off. The parent life, eh? The parent life. And I've played with different tanks that use different strategies, so tanks that just separate these off like we're doing now. I've seen others that run all of the ads inside, and you have to try and stay alive in a very small space, which isn't ideal. It becomes very challenging as a healer. I often struggle with that strategy personally. It could just be me as a player, but I recommend separating them out anyway. This tank was fantastic. Then, not the cleanest. Like a numpty, just ran straight through the middle of that. Yeah, taking myself down to half health. Good job. Now, this AoE damage is pretty rough, which is why you don't want to have multiples of these. You can quite easily just wipe the whole party. It was handled pretty smoothly. I didn't need to pop Avenging Crusader, which is good. Now on to the final boss. Best what the tank's doing now, dragging the boss to the other end of the room. This gives us room to drop those orbs. After you have the debuff 3 times, or you walk into the orbs 3 times, you'll drop a pool that will then spawn more.
Debuff on you.
So like an umpty over hit by an orb.
Run out.
To the corner.
Then, as a Holy Paladin, I don't really find this boss particularly challenging from a healer perspective. Definitely a mechanics perspective, trying to dodge all the balls, especially if the tank doesn't move the boss. But this tank, again, like I've said a few times, did an amazing job and knew exactly what they were doing.
Run out.
But now I notice that the priest is starting to drop down quite low, and I'm starting to panic that I'm going to lose him again. I managed to get round in time and cast Lay on Hands on him, which was great. And nothing worse than losing someone.
Poor marks for poor students.
Run out.
Go to the corner. Think about what you have done.
So as you can see by the icon above my head, I've had the debuff or hit an orb twice. If I get a 3rd one, I drop a pool.
Think about what you have done.
Run out.
You will not pass the semester. Think about what you have done. Learn from this.
Well, there we have it. Not the cleanest keys by any stretch of the imagination. I made plenty of mistakes, but it was good fun, and I'm lucky to have such a great group. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Also, let me know in the comments what's the funniest distraction you've had from the kids. See you next time.